It's time now for our first panel of the day. It's titled The Making of an Accessible City. This is sponsored by ClearTrip. Our panelists are experts in the field and will share their experiences and insights on the topic. I'd like to remind you that after our panel discussion, we'll have a Q&A session. So please, you can ask your panelists anything, share your thoughts with them, or suggestions. So get your questions ready, and let's have an engaging and informative discussion. So to welcome our panelists, our first panelist is owner from Luxury Group's International Travel Concierge, an accessible travel advocate of Cooper VIP Travel Agency from the United States of America, Ms. Deneen Cooper. Next panelist, we have the program director from Early Intervention, Sanad Village from the UAE, Mr. Mahmoud A. Mahmoud. Administrative Unico from Excellence International Consultancy from Italy, Mr. Stefano Coletta. Founder and chairman of Gilani Engineering, Australia and Gilani Mobility UAE, Mr. Ramin Gilani. Chief Operating Officer from Hospitality Management Holding from the UAE, Mr. Patrick Antaki. Our panel discussion will be moderated by Mr. Jeff Strachan, AVP Business Operations, Dubai College of Tourism.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and first a thanks to our sponsor, ClearTrip, for sponsoring this panel discussion today. We will have a roving microphone for the audience, and we will be encouraging questions. And for the purposes of the panel, and I know all of you, which is great, for the purposes of the panel, we are going to be focusing on four distinct and clear areas. The areas that we're going to try and talk about when we think of the making of an accessible city are the physical designed and built environment, and we'll talk through some of those subjects. Then we're going to talk about the intervention and the rapid rise of solutions. So I'm delighted that you're with us today, because we have a lot of new solutions in the market. We're going to talk about people, their knowledge and their determination to travel and to serve. And that's why I'm delighted that you're with us here today. And we're going to talk about the workforce, their knowledge and their role in enabling accessible travel and visitation for the city. So thanks again to our panelists, all wonderful experts in their field. And I'm going to start with a couple of questions. Deneen, I'll start with you. I want to talk about the physical and the built environment. And I know you're extremely well traveled, but I know that you also send a lot of people on travel, group tours specifically. You're a luxury travel advisor and extremely well traveled yourself. When you think of the built environment, accessible challenges, and building an accessible city, how much of the challenges are still around the physical space, and perhaps how much of the challenges are around the people space, their knowledge? Just give us some context. And if you could, I'd love to give you to give us a little insight on where Dubai stands on that spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. My thought process, and I'll start with answering the last part of your question. Mm-hmm. Dubai, for me, was an option that wasn't available based on fear. And that normally is the response for most people in the travel space or the accessible space trying to travel. The question and the insight that I get from most of my clients is, I can't do it, I'm scared to do it, I want to do it, how am I going to do it? And the main reason I became a travel advisor after I became disabled was based on the fact that if they saw me do it and they're booking through me, what is the better example of an opportunity to travel than the person who's booking your travel, seeing her in the environment? I came to Dubai with 25 women last May to celebrate Mother's Day. And prior to that, I knew nothing about the country. I had other travel advisors that went, but no, they did not see one person in a wheelchair, with a walker, with a cane. So there was nothing that they could share with me other than their understanding of what accessibility looked like as an able-bodied human walking around this city. So I kind of had to feel it out and had to get over the fear factor of coming to this country, coming to this city. And what this city showed me upon entry into the airport was travel agents, people in the wheelchair disability space, the disability assistants in the airport, brought my wheelchair onto the plane. I had never had that experience before. I always had to figure out through a walker how I was going to get on and off the plane. And the experience from the airport to the hotel that I stayed at, I did none of the excursions that my clients did because, one, wheelchairs don't roll on the desert. There was a boat cruise. There wasn't an accessible bathroom on the downstairs floor, so we weren't going to do that. And I had to make some decisions about, am I going to be able to do some of these excursions? Now, I could have gotten depressed about it and been like, okay, why am I in Dubai if I can't do anything in the city? But what the opportunity provided was get to know the people that are working in the hotel around Dubai. Where are you from? Why did you come here? I'm a travel advisor. Would you like to come to New York and hang out with me? Come to the city, come to the United States? Conversation about what an accessible city looked like. And I tell you, I was so welcomed. I was so loved upon. I was so included. I was so felt to not be the only one, because I was the only accessible person in my group that needed accessibility. And I vowed that I was going to return to this city, this country. I found out about this summit based upon Googling it after I returned back to the United States. And I said, let me email, find out a little bit more about what they're doing in this beautiful place that welcomed me with open arms. And that led me to being here. That led me to coming back. That led me to being invited to speak about my experiences. I think what an accessible city looks like from the standpoint of someone who had no knowledge about it, and for most tourists don't, they get a lot of their information based on someone sharing the information about their experience, is how do you feel when someone says welcome? What does welcome look like in the physical space? What does welcome look like when you walk into your hotel room? My hotel room was made accessible based on the fact that I was coming. I was welcomed in a space that didn't know what my needs were. Did she have a wheelchair? Did she have a scooter? What the situation was going to be. But they treated me not like I had a differently abled experience, but that I was just a travel agent doing different things. And the city said, welcome.
Amazing. Delighted to have you back. Thank you to everybody in Dubai for making Deneen so welcome. We are delighted to have you back. We have a new advocate for tourism in Dubai. Stefano, I know you're just as well traveled, okay? And I know obviously you're based in Italy.
Yes.
When you think of the built environment in a country like Italy, and perhaps the navigation challenges that Deneen may have in a place like Rome, versus what we're building here in Dubai with our goal to be the most visited city in the world, what's your perspective on Dubai, on accessible challenges, and on the built environment, the physical built environment, versus what service and humans can do to intervene to provide this level of welcome? How do you see that when you travel around the world?
Thanks for the question. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the summit. I am very glad to be here and to be here in this summit. It's very, when we in Italy, we speak about Dubai and UAE, it's always difficult to transfer what we see with our eyes here. And when we speak about buildings or tourism, and when we try, me and my colleague Maria Grazia, try to explain Dubai and to say to, and we say to our customers, to our friends, that the only word that we can use to explain Dubai is welcome. It's a welcome city. It's a welcome country. We have in Italy a lot of problem because I think that the most of part of Italy, they don't have the right file in the mind. We have Tuscan region here. We have another client outside Veneto region, and they understand that it's possible to do something in accessible tourism. And we think, just to spend a few words about what we do as a company, we are specialized in critical ambience. We realize projects for critical ambiences in the healthcare sector, but not only in the healthcare sector, also in the tourism. And so we know very well all our ambiences that we realize and we give to our clients start from the project to the end. And sometimes, for example, our clients ask us also the equipment inside are accessible ambience. So we know, I think that me and Ms. Maria, that we are the owner of our company, we know very well how we have to manage the arguments, the topics, and we think that to have accessible tourism and to have the right situation and the right environment, we have to connect competence, different competence. And we have to use, this is what we believe, also, for example, technologies. And we found here the application of technologies. So it's not so easy to transfer, to modify the environment and to have an accessible city, an accessible hotels, an accessible airport. And when we come here, we stay good, we feel good. And if we put beside Dubai Airport for accessible people and Bologna Airport, where we come from, we... I stop here because I'm Italian. We have the institutions here, so there is some difference, okay? Because the mindset is different. So I think that first of all, we have to start from the culture. The word is for all. It's not for a specific condition. And so we have to start that tourism is one of the main sectors that we can manage. And we have to start from the airport, the aircraft, the hotels, and to think we try to transfer, me and Ms. Maria, to transfer to our architects, to our engineer, to integrate the competence and to find in the market technology solution to help the employees into the hotel and in order to help the people of determination when they come into the hotel, for example. And we try every day to change the mind, because if we realize our environment as we did in the past, we realize the same city that we have, for example, in Italy, or the same infrastructure that we have in Italy. So we have to change the mind, And when we come here, we stay good, we feel good because it's the right place where we can realize something that we have in our mind, also in Tourism Acts.
It's great to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my takeaway from both of you is fear. And you know, we hear the same thing from able-bodied travelers, especially from North America. You know, overcoming misconceptions and fear. This arises with everyone, and I hear great takeaways there of competence, of connections, and I hope this event is helping all of us to connect to hopefully move things forward. I want to touch on mobility and solutions, and I'm going to come to Ramin and Patrick. Okay, I want to talk about intervention and the rapid rise of solutions. Go back just 3 years, you know, the inaugural event, this Accessible Travel and Tourism Summit, and I don't think there were the same volume of interventions that we see outside today here at this event. And I don't know, you know, how many solutions you've brought to the market in the last few years, but perhaps Deneen will come back next year on a scooter that will go into the desert. Yeah. So as you think about, again, building an accessible city, what role does technology, intervention, robotics, what does it play in mobility and the ability to create the destination that we want? What are you seeing now at Gilani?
First of all, I would like to say thank you for having me here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, this event. It's an amazing chance to bring all the right people to the right place so we can share our knowledge. Now I'm going to be a bit the bad guy here because there's a lot of compliments going towards how far we have come. But as an innovator, engineer, and business owner seen, I would say, at least 95% of all technologies around the world, there is so much more to do, and there's so much more to implement. And when it comes to the technologies, the most important thing is to be aware of them. There's a lot of technologies that we're not aware of. They exist in some corner of the world. Some countries have them, some countries don't even know about them. There's a huge part to be played by having the right technologies, having access to them. So it really comes down to communication. It really comes down to knowing what is out there, having a platform of communication. Now, the technologies that are brought on board, but also the technologies that we distribute, can really assist. When I started my company in Australia about 15 years ago, we've been operating there for that long, we could see what is available. Coming to Dubai about 2 years ago when we established Gilani Mobility here, I could see, what did we open? We could see there's so much more out there that's not really available. So it really comes down to sharing the technologies that exist. So to answer your question, how much can be done and how much will it assist? A lot, and there's a lot lacking. And that's what I want to emphasize on. If we can have a platform where we can see what is out there on every avenue and every aspect that there is a need to have access to what is out there, what exists, what do we need to push for, that will help a lot. Talk about airports, transport from the airplane all the way to your end destination. There is a lot of chance and opportunities to improve. Now, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to figure it out from scratch. We can see what has been done, take the best, develop it to the next level. We're talking about taxis, public transport, buses. UAE and Dubai specifically have done amazing, don't get me wrong. But there is a lot more out there. And this is where I'm trying to reach the right people to inform them. There is so much more. There's technologies. No need to reinvent the wheel.
Great summary, and I think we're all aligned on our journey forward. To my left, we have a hotel operator, and a very knowledgeable and experienced hotel operator working with some of the largest brands in the world and now running a hotel management company. You just heard from Ramin. We have a long way to go, and I think, does the hotel industry acknowledge where it still has to go? In many cases, we have an accessible room, one in many. Where are we? What's the status? Where do we need to go from here?
You're putting me under pressure here. But I'm very glad that you said that you're going to be the bad guy, because I support that 100%. Yes, it's very good for us to tick the boxes, as you say, because Dubai has a very good building code, and they insist on us having a accessible room, etc. But that's all we do in the hotel business. I think we're just about starting to scratch the surface. I strongly believe, you know, we were saying earlier, a ramp doesn't fix everything, and you're right. Some people just put the ramp to tick their box, and the ramp is so steep, even a person that has no problem walking can't use that ramp because they're going to fall flat on their face. So I think that this whole concept starts with education. It starts with educating from the very highest levels. So from the hotel owners to the hotel management to the senior management. And then it goes down to the rest of the staff. The staff, as we know in this part of the world, as you've experienced, are lovely people. They are very welcoming. They are going to go out of their way to make your stay comfortable. So, and I think that's where we need to take it further. We need to then start educating people, where when we look at, depending on what you call it, whether it's training or support or whatever, coaching of the staff, we need to have sessions about inclusivity. And it's not just inclusivity as we know it in its broad sense. It's specifically about, you know, facilitating when there is travelers with special needs. There is, sometimes it is needs that are not seen, like autism, for example. You don't see it, and sometimes people are, and there's been incidents where parents are blamed and finger pointed because people around them don't realize that there is a disability or a difficulty that is not seen. So these are all the things that we need to look at, you know. And back to the question is, are we doing enough? No, no way. And we do still have a very long way of going. I think we as hoteliers, with probably Dubai Tourism and with the other official parts, we need to get together and we need to start looking beyond the code, start looking what are we going to do in our own homes in order to develop and in order to really become part of the solution rather than just talking about it.
Good. You'll be happy to hear that, man. Beyond the code. I like that. I wrote that down. We're going beyond the code. Mahmoud, I'm going to come to you. Third subject. People, their knowledge, and their determination to travel. And I know you spend, your day job is working with families and young children. You think back a few years in this market, in Dubai, and families' preparation and readiness to travel overseas, to travel through the airport, to go and stay in unfamiliar territory. You know, sometimes it makes us nervous. But what do you see now, you know, in 2024 versus maybe 2-3 years ago, just a short time frame of families with a child of determination who want to go and travel the world, and what do we need to do to prepare them for travel? What's changing?
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for the panelists. It's a pleasure to see all of you. And before I get to answer your question, I feel like I'm kind of under a little bit of pressure because we have a tie here, 2 versus 2, right? Kind of. But I want to share with you my own experience. And as a bear witness, because I have raised up in the country expat. I'm from Egypt, but I lived my entire life in UAE. And I want to share with you, because I was interested in disability since a very young age, for reasons that it's out of the scope of the discussion, so I'm not going to talk about it, but I remember that my first experience was when I was 4 years old. And I was always interested to know about disability throughout my life. Next month, I'm completing 40 years, so I can only speak about those 40 years. Knowing about the UAE and knowing about what happened. I kind of have to disagree with the gentleman here for one reason. partially, definitely, not entirely, because there is always a room for improvement. There is in every sector, definitely. There is even a room for improvement even in Australia itself. But I want to say the improvement that I have seen over the years, since I was young all the way to now, is impressive. And let's remember that UAE is a young country. The UAE just started 50 years ago. We were celebrating the National Day of the 50th National Day a few days ago, a few years ago. So, in one hand, I do agree that there is a room of improvement and we can do better. And this is one venue of how we can get better, right? One solution of how we can get better in making tourism accessible for people of determination and improving the provisions and the services for people of determination, definitely. So saying that, let me get back to your question. I can see parents actually, and this is my own experience because I work with parents day in and day out. This is my practice. I can tell that we have the majority of the people, the majority of the families feel safe as long as they are in UAE. Not because of the traveling itself, but because of the accessibility. So for them, if they are going to spend the vacation inside of UAE, they can get all the services they need. They can get everything done very easily. The internet is very powerful, so they can get whatever they want to do through the internet. But also, everyone wants to travel. Sometimes, for some countries, things are very easy and they would love to travel there because they're accessible tourism. But some other countries, not that much. Saying that, I want to say also that we have, all of us, we share a big responsibility of raising the awareness in terms of among parents, among normal people, among institutes, among countries and governments. We have a big role to play in preparing the environment for people, definitely. And yes, there is a lot to be done, but also we have walked a very long way.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to have an agreement for a disagreement.
Yep.
Thank you. Deneen, I'm going to come to you. Okay. So Mahmoud talked about families that we have here in the UAE. He spends a lot of time readying them for travel and tourism, how to navigate through the airport, how to live in a different environment so that everybody can enjoy their vacation. I want to talk about the North American market. Okay? I want to talk about your customers. When your customers think about traveling anywhere, it could be domestically US, it could be international, what kind of challenges do they come to you with? You talked about fear, but I want to get into practical things. Yeah? So, and the reason I ask you that is I keep hearing about the information gap. There's not enough clear information out there. If I go to one of Patrick's hotel websites, not to make you feel bad, there's probably not enough detailed information there. Downloadable, clear, transparent information that reassures a family. But what's the reality? Tell us what the reality is from North America.
I have to think about that when
I'll
I
give
say
you time,
it.
man.
Let me say this, and I'm being very realistic and very transparent as I'll be 60 this year, 60-year native New Yorker, always lived in the United States. So Italy was my first foray into the international space, and Dubai is my second. The questions that I get, because most of my travel experience and my client base is international travel and luxury international travel by choice, because that's what I like. So that's the thought process to have a business that focused on it. Yes, information is a big barrier because you can only put so much information on a website about what an accessible room looks like. And in a country that has a law, the American with Disabilities Act, that holds businesses accountable as much as they can, there's a lot more information based upon what, for example, an accessible bathroom should look like. You don't see that kind of information on the website. Grab bars, all of the information that you would need for someone who's in a wheelchair, open space to get in and out of the bathroom, whether or not it's an accessible roll-in shower or an accessible tub with bars. Something as minute for most people, but very important for me. And my business partner, my caretaker, Taveen and I, who's here with me today, talk about this all the time. A shower bath mat that is adhesive to a shower floor. It's not going to help us if the shower floor is wet and I don't have anything to keep me safe in a wet environment. It's not going to help me to stand and hold on to a grab bar if everything in that shower is wet. Just something like a shower mat that you put in your bathtub, to have a hotel have that on property. I've had situations where I bought my own. But what I'm seeing more in the international space than I even see in North America, in my room when I checked in here, there was a shower mat. I was already in the mindset that I was going to have to call for one. It was already in there. That's huge for someone who was in a roll-in shower that even they have to, I mean, I can stand in the shower, but if you have to roll in, you want to know that you're safe. Most accidents for accessible people happen in the kitchen and in the bathroom. I am very vocal. I am very, I live in a space of check and check again. So when I'm making a reservation for a hotel or a cruise or even with businesses and tour operators that I work with in Dubai that have the whole adventure set up, I have specific questions because the majority of the time the able-bodied human is not going to know what we would need or what we would be looking for until we ask the question. And it's important to have the conversation. I don't chastise or blame that you don't know, but I will hold you accountable if we're having the conversation and it's still not done. Or if I share with you, because you may not know what is best for someone who would be looking to be in an accessible space. Do I know everything about accessibility? Absolutely not, but I know a lot. And I've learned by situations. So I could go in a room and have somebody come in, a hotel room, and have somebody come in and follow me, which I found in Dubai to be a practice that questions are asked. What do we need to do better? How do we make this space better? And if it's not, how can we do things to help you be in a better, have a better stay or have a better experience? For most people, that's just, let's have the conversation. Let's just talk about it. Let's just figure out what we need to do. The major reason for me coming to this summit, other than having an experience of networking and meeting other people in the space, was that I was going to be able to show my experience. I do a lot of social media activity, and people know I have a business. So, wow, she went to Dubai. She's gone twice. Now she's going for an accessible conference, and she's showing us pictures around the hotel. She's showing us what our room looked like. She's showing us how she's getting around the space in the scooter. So for a person that's in my environment, disabled, that said, Deneen, I would never go to Dubai. Now we're going to have a conversation about it because I'm here and I'm showing you what I can do. And when you say that, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have that experience, that's okay. Let's do something else. That's the true accessible city. That even if you have tours and excursions or experiences that don't meet the needs of the person for whatever their accessibility need is. And be very clear, accessibility for the person who's looking for it is not one-stop shopping. Every situation is different. Don't look at the person that's on a scooter and see 5 scooters and think that we're all dealing with the same situation. Absolutely not. But if we have the conversation of what I can do, or what the opportunity would be to do something else, or to look at how I can give you ideas about what we would like to do if we can't do the tour that's provided to us, then we are bridging the gap about what the options would be for people to travel in spaces that they may not normally think about traveling to. And I think that that's a real important piece of it, because you're not going to cover everything that someone who's traveling would want to see on a website or in a brochure about what accessibility looks like, because it's very personal for them.
Amazing. What a summary. Fantastic. Thank you so much. When's your 3rd trip?
When is my what trip?
When are you coming back?
October. For the Expo.
Excellent.
And I'm bringing 25 with me.
Perfect. Booked. Ramin, I'm going to come to you.
Welcome.
I want to talk about, so you have a lot of solutions, and you talked about how far we have to go with technology. But let's talk about people, let's talk about the workforce, okay? Let's talk about enabling accessible travel through people, okay? How critical is it to you and your business that the people, the workforce, are knowledgeable? How important is human capital to you and your business in understanding the subject?
I would say it's the most important aspect of it. Now, myself, to be able to develop technology and to know what is needed, I have to use my own product. So one of our biggest sellers, the AirHawk lightweight foldable wheelchair, I took it to Dubai Zoo with the family. I refused to get out of it. I was sitting in that chair with my son on my lap for 4 hours until my wife got tired, and then I swapped with her and she continued riding the chair. So that's the only way you can really understand. So by knowing what is the product, exactly what is the need of the user, you have a chance to figure out what they need. So if the staff don't know exactly what the user need and what is the circumstances, they're not going to be able to recommend the right product. So the most important and critical foundation for our business is that I change the mentality of our sales staff. I tell them, you're not here to sell. You're here to figure out exactly what is the life circumstance and situation of your client. And then you'll be able to figure out what is the best solution. So completely wipe out what they think sales is and completely plant a new seed in their mind. When a customer comes in, you have to figure out from A to Z, what are they going to do? How are they going to go? Perfect example is I have a lot of elder gentlemen coming in. No, I don't have a disability. I just need a mobility scooter. I get a bit tired. My wife wants to be around Dubai Mall all day. I get tired. Okay, you don't have a disability, sir, so what would you like to have? I want a mobility scooter. I don't want an electric wheelchair. I'm not disabled. Sure, no problem. He hops onto a mobility scooter. I tell him, okay, what I want you to do, because I know that's not the right solution for him. I know enough about the industry. I know what is good for him. I'm not going to question him. I guide him. So the same way I do it, all our staff need to be able to do the same thing. I tell him, sir, that's the scooter you're after, I believe. Hop on. I want you to go out of our showroom, turn left, go through our warehouse, go into the kitchen area, take the elevator, go up, come back down. I'll see you in 5 minutes. I'll send him on a little route at our premises here in Dubai. He comes back after 5 minutes. So how did it go with turning around in that elevator? Yeah, I had to do a 3-point turn. It was a bit tight there in the hallway. Okay, now I want you to hop onto this chair here. He does the same route. He comes back, and he realized that the scooter he was after was going to maybe make him look good in his own mind, but it's not going to help him when he goes around the malls in the aisles, in confined spaces. He's going to be suffering. I ask him also, how are you going to get it? You're saying you're going to be in the mall. How are you going to get it there? Have you thought about it? Oh, no, I'll lift it. Okay, but that scooter is 39 kilos, okay? This chair is 23. So do you need a boot hoist for us to install to lift it? Or you plan to not have that and you're going to risk straining yourself? In that case, weight is also important. So we need to know exactly what is needed better than the end user themselves. So we completely wipe out the mentality of a salesperson and train them to become not as a level of occupational therapist, obviously we can't do that, but as far as we can go.
Wow.
And that's a recipe of success. I've had clients coming in to an Australian branch, an older gentleman. He was after a cushion. He just wanted a cushion, $100, right? He spent over $100,000 with us up to date. And that's really a recipe of success. So it is business, but the right type of business. You need to study and know what is people's needs. So when a customer comes in, it's not the matter of, okay, you want that chair, that's the money, that's the chair, there you go, off you go. No. How's your life looking? Where are you gonna go? Where are you traveling? Figure it out. And when you assist them, they keep coming back because they realize, I've had customers coming into me, I tell them, no, don't come to us. That company, that guy is who you're speaking to. Send them off to the right. Make sure you assist them to find the perfect solution for them. And they'll be with you for life. So that's the recipe.
Amazing. Thank you for investing in your team.
Thank you.
Mahmoud, I'm coming back to you. Okay. The work that needs to be done to prepare hotels, people like Patrick's team, the airports, the airlines, the work that needs to be done to prepare the human capital, to be ready to welcome families that you work with. Where are we and how much do we still need to do in terms of knowledge, investment, training, language? Give us an idea of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this is a great question because I think we are following a great learning curve when it comes to like learning from our mistakes and improving the environment and everything. But I do agree with everyone in the panel, and Gilani also mentioned about the information. I think we have a problem with the information. We don't have access to the information. And when I say we, I mean parents of people of determination. So there is a lot of missing information. For example, the CDA has issued a Sanad card for people of determination. I'm a program director for early intervention, so the majority of the students I meet are below the age of 7. And the majority of them don't know about the Sanad card. For those who don't know, Sanad card is a card that allow for facilitation and leverages for people of determination in UAE, issued by the Community Development Authority. So they don't know about it. And also, on the other hand, for example, all the services and all the provisions in the airport that has been, we have a lot of people who are working really hard on this, and yet the parents don't know about those abilities or those provisions. So I think we lack information. I think, as Gilani said, we need one platform that inform the entire people about what are the available resources that they can use, and allow them also to share what they need in order for the decision makers and the people who are in charge to work on those items and those needs. I think we're doing good. I think we are improving. We're creating things, but it's not connected to the people necessarily. For example, if I had a family coming from Russia or coming from abroad, and they would like to stay in a hotel, I personally don't have the list of hotels, of course, not GW, of course. But
Call Patrick.
Yeah, I know Pat, I know the place here. But in general, I don't have a list of hotels that actually would be helping for the family that is visiting from abroad. And because we have been doing very well when it comes to the therapy of people of determination in Dubai and UAE in general, we started to get clients from all over the world. So I think it's a golden opportunity for everyone in the country actually to elevate their services and just work on the areas of weakness. And I believe that it's doable, and I believe that we are improving.
Great, thank you. Taking all of that on board, okay, because you've heard a lot from Deneen. You now hear that there's a lack of information. Where does the hotel industry go from here? What do we do with people?
I think there's two things we need to look at. Before we do anything, I think we need to go and sit and structure things. So I need to sit with somebody like Mahmoud, like Gilani, and to really understand what is needed, structure what is needed, and then set up a platform. From there, we start building on it, and we start seeing what we need to improve. Then we need to look at our learning and development, our training departments, and we need to set up a training to educate our staff, to educate the frontliners who have to deliver this service or who have to deliver the help that is needed in order to go further. So that's on one side. Then you've got the marketing side of things. So once we've set up what we're doing, what we can do, then you start talking about it, then you start having it on your websites, you start having it on available platforms, you start connecting links, like to DTCM or to apps that find where I can find this information or where I can find this service. So, but before we get to that point, we need to start from the very
You
beginning.
need to start making sure you have bath mats.
Yes, definitely.
Don't cut costs.
It's funny when you were saying about bath mats, because when I first, Dubai, back in just before the 2000s, we used to have bath mats in all our rooms. It was part of the DTCM code, And then I think bath mats went out of fashion. People not realizing that it is more a safety thing for people who need help. But also there is the issue of hygiene of a bath mat.
Right.
That's a huge thing. That's the main reason why bath mats went out of fashion.
And fix
You can, of course you can. There's no, everything has a solution.
Yeah.
So there is all these points that need to be looked at. But yes, a simple solution like a bath mat.
It's big for you as the business because of the liability involved in someone slipping. But it's also a invitation of what luxury looks like. Because in North America, they don't have them.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about from the 5-star property to not so 5-star, but I've seen it a lot in Vegas. But that's the aspect of walking into a bathroom and the care and the thought process of, oh, they have a shower mat. And not the white towel, because that's going to get wet and create another issue. Because that's what hotel people will tell you. They will say, oh, that's the white mat. That's the shower mat, or that's the bath mat. No, but then that gets wet, and then I have another slip. I have an additional risk of dealing with it. So, but that was just based on me having a conversation. When I went to the hotel in Dubai in May, they didn't have one. I asked, within 5 minutes it was there. So it wasn't, I don't know if it was the fact that they had it and they didn't think, or it was a by request situation. But the fact that they came in 5 minutes with it, for me as the traveler and the person that was in what I considered a luxury country, huge.
Amazing.
Huge.
But that's the beauty of Dubai in a way. Our hotels, even if they don't have something, they'll try their best to make it happen.
There you go.
That's
That's the difference of people.
Yes, and that is the attitude of Dubai. I must say, this comes from the very top. If you haven't got it, try to deliver it. Try to find a solution.
Absolutely.
We are pushed. I think majority of hotels in the UAE will deliver a similar level of attitude, and that comes from the top.
Great. Last question for you, Steph. Before we wrap up, I'm getting a message on time.
Yeah.
So last question for you. Still about people. Okay? And I know you focus a lot on design. You build facilities. You built amazing facilities. I know during the COVID period as well to deal with a lot of challenges. But how much of the effect, the difference to travelers, in your opinion, is about people and the intervention and their knowledge to provide service ultimately?
It's a good question, and I try to reply in a few minutes. I think that people, it's in our project, in all the project that we realize, we don't care about the environment, but we think always that that environment will be lived by people. So we try to put in the middle of our project, of our meetings that we have inside our company with our client, what the people need in healthcare, on tourism, in the hotel, in the everywhere, because everyone we have to leave the space that this space we have to live in the right way. And I listen about information from the other speakers, and I think I would like just to say this. I think that, for example, in Italy, we have a lot of information, but we have, maybe there is also another problem, how you can integrate the information and to have, to integrate but don't have a lot of information, because if you have a lot of information, it's not the right way that we have to follow. It's important also to give to the people the right information, easy, simple, very, very fast to understand what I will find in the author, what I will find, where I will find. For example, I go back to the airport that I know very well, Bologna Airport. It's difficult. There is information. There is the space, but it's difficult to go outside of the immigration place, because it's not easy. So I think that it's a long work, where in a country like Italy, we have to manage the information, we have to put in the middle of our project and in the sector of, that we follow, people as the main actor that leave the ambience that we realize and that we want to realize in the next future, also here in Dubai, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everyone's saying the same thing. Wrap
Yes.
up the information.
People,
Collect the
information,
put the
connected.
information in the right place. Once you have the information in the right place, you can access it. You're talking about bath mat, what's good and bad about it. There are alternative solutions. Now, to access those alternative solutions, it's great for everyone to be able to go in there, say that is the problem we have. Because everyone can identify limitations and problems. It would be great to be able to go to a place and find the best solution and address it and have access to experts. And that is what we always are struggling. Everyone have their own area of expertise, but we're all saying the same thing in a different way. Now, Dubai is...
We have a chance to work on it.
We can work on it. And Dubai is, just like you mentioned, 50 years ago, nothing here. Look what they've done. Look at the vision. But the same level of vision and motivation have to also be implemented in this type of code, accessibility codes, which it is the vision of Dubai.
Great. I want to say thanks to all the panelists. Thank you,
I think we have a question
Deneen.
over there.
I'm just going to say thanks to the panelists, thanks to Deneen, thanks to Patrick, thanks to Ramin, thanks to Mahmoud, Stefano. Appreciate all your time. We are against the clock, so I think we'll take a question from the front. Yeah, Ghassan?
Hello.
One question from the front, and yeah, go for it. Two. You're arguing, huh? Heads or tails? Please.
Thank you very much for this amazing panel talk. My name is Sharifa Yatim. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm the CEO. I opened my own consultancy company, Sharifa Yatim Center for Rehabilitation, and I do get a lot of families with invisible disabilities. Like what Mr. Patrick has mentioned, we need more to support families that do have children on the autism spectrum. What does that mean? We need to address sensory needs issues. Kids that comes to me, they have picky eating. So a lot of families, they can't even stay in their own country in a hotel because they need the food of their child cooked in a specific way. So let's see with our group of operations system here, Mr. Patrick, is it okay to be flexible, to ask if you have a child with autism, It is okay to let us know the dietary aspect of your child. Many cannot eat crunchy things. Many are selective in the color of the food that they're eating. So therefore, what happens to the family? They need to get the kitchen with them from home for them to stay in a staycation. We're not talking even about going abroad. Some hotels abroad, they think about these things. So what do I do as a clinician, as a psychologist? I want to keep hotels in my desk. So when the families come to me and say, Sharifa, we want to do a staycation, but we don't know where to go. Which hotel can provide me some services? Because I can bring the food with me. You know, I can get the rice, I can get the chicken, I can get the spices that my child only eats. But the hotel are not flexible to give them the food to cook for my child because they have a menu that they have to stick with it.
We'll pass it to Patrick.
I love the question, Sharifa. It's a beautiful question. And to be honest with you, in our hotels, the chefs welcome this type of information. Because the worst thing you want as a chef is for the plate to be sent back, you know, saying that it doesn't work. So our servers always ask, is there anything that we can help with? Obviously, if the family is staying for a few days, the best thing is pre-information. So a call to the reservation center or a call to the hotel reception to tell them and ask them what is the limitations. You know, our hotels will be more than happy to tailor-make something for the kids or for the adults. It's not an issue at all. In fact, I'd love to say we're the only company that does that, but this is an attitude of Dubai as a whole. This is an attitude of the UAE, you know, where the thing is, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes, that's correct.
So the sad thing is if parents are shy to ask.
Yes.
The sadder thing is if the servers don't ask as well. So the responsibility is a bit on both. And I think the hotel has to ask, is there something else we can do? Is there any allergies or special thing that you want?
The second issue, a case, okay? We have a case, sorry, I'll bring the mic to you. The second case is the sensory processing disorders of individuals on the autism spectrum. That means the lights, the sounds,
What we were talking about.
the area, the busyness of the place, okay? One suggestion that I would like to give, and I'm sure a lot of families with autism here will understand, is to have a play area that is nice and quiet, that you guys can put, places, things that could mute the sounds, just like in a studio. You know, they love that studio feeling because it is very calming. Maybe provide blankets that are what we call heavy blankets that will help them calm their body when they're overstimulated. And of course, acceptance. You know, kids that have tantrums, meltdowns, we don't want the staff to look at them saying like, okay, this child is having an impact on our customers. You know, so making that understandable. And you know what? I like the idea of the sunflower lanyard that had been spoken about yesterday. Maybe hotels can also adopt that program so that the individuals or the families now can identify, hey, this hotel can be helping my families with the sensory rooms, with the heavy blankets,
Sure.
with the food as well.
Yeah, so there is great progress being made towards that, particularly here in Dubai, through the Sunflower movement.
Yeah.
Many of the hotel groups are already recognizing the sunflower families passing through the airport and coming into the city. Admittedly, on the graph, we're here, but there is progress towards that. And there's two ways to address things like heavy blankets. There is ways for brands to pick them up and use them as leverageable points of difference to differentiate their hotels from other hotels and market those things, as Patrick said. Or there's another way. There is a way to mandate that. Yeah? Of course, everyone would prefer if the brands picked them up and said, we have autism-friendly play areas, we have heavy blankets, we have chef on request. That would be an opportunity for the private sector and the brands to pick those things up. But there are a number of ways to address that, all of them we're discussing with the private sector. We'll take this question and we'll come to there's a lady down here, I think, with a question, right?
My name is Abdullah Abdulaziz.
Yeah, Abdullah.
I just created, established Accessible Bahrain, and we are hoping and we are working towards that endeavor to make enriching, accessible experiences for all. And this is not a statement, I would say, a bold statement to greenwash people's mind. No, this is a real work in the field where I just pick up a quote from what you mentioned, beyond the code, because the code, it will give you maximum, minimum standard where you can start. But there are things, what Deneen has mentioned, there are very specific details for each individual person need to be tackled and addressed. Once this is done, because when we are talking about enriching experience as an optimal goal for all of us, then we are able to bring the solutions like the Gilani, where then we are able to make sure those blankets are in a place, then we are making sure that our websites are accessible, then we are making sure that we are talking about it, because there is a say that if we build it, develop it in an accessible manner, we talk to, we communicate it to the audiences that we require to in different means and different mediums that you need to use to make sure that this message and your information, which need to be addressed to them, it's reaching them, then the numbers will come. I can fingerprint 10 times on now and to take a vow on this, and I can guarantee you minimum average nights that they would stay, it's 4.5 nights. Who doesn't want that? And that would close the gap of your seasonality.
Sure.
Seasonality, especially in the summertime. And there's most of people with disabilities, they would like to go in a slow pace. Why? Because they need time to move around and maneuver.
Understood, and congratulations for all the work you're doing in Bahrain. I think in the interest of time, I don't think it was a question, in the interest of time we can take it offline, and I think the lady behind you has a question. Oh.
Hi, I'm disabled, and in my past life I was a flight attendant. And I woke up to this new reality where once we're broken, we're just disposable, and that everything is being said about us, but without us. So,
well said.
My question is, why the companies are overlooking this huge opportunity to include us in their agenda, in their fight for accessibility and build an actual accessible world without building not enough inclined ramps, or without saying like, oh, we didn't know, we were not aware. And we would constantly hear that I have met this person who just told me about it. I never knew. How could you know if you never included us, if you never asked us, if you didn't take this opportunity? While we know customer service, we know aviation, we know traveling, and we are eager to work with you. We're eager to share our experience and build a successful community, inclusive. So my question is, what is the reason behind it? Why everything has to be said about us without us? Thank you.
Great question. Who wants to take it? I'll have a go about it. You want to take it?
I'm happy to take it.
Can I take it?
Go for it.
Your question kind of hit home because that's the reason I'm here. If I didn't reach out, see what I think happens, and I'm speaking from a United States, North American perspective, I would not even come close to perceive how Emirates citizen would feel in this situation and being at this conference and saying to themselves, why are they not asking me what accessibility looks like? I told them what accessibility looks like. Because I put myself in a situation that if I ask and you say no, then you said no. But you can't say no if I don't ask. So I made sure that I requested to be in an environment that I was going to be able to share my story and tell what it means to be an accessible or travel advisor. This is what accessibility looks like for Deneen, but it can look the same way for millions of people in different aspects. So if I didn't send that email to Dr. Ghassan, and he didn't have that Zoom call and said, you just came here? What is your aspects and understanding of what your experiences were as a tourist, but also as a travel advisor? You need to come and share your story. That's the dialogue. That's the conversation. He could have said, no, I'm not going to invite you. There's no need for a travel advisor to come for an accessible travel conference. But in the nature of the conversation, it offered the opportunity for me to be in a space where now we're having partnerships. I'm meeting people. I want to travel to other countries and talk about what accessibility looks like for someone who travels. What's the best person to share with you about the travel experience? The person who travels, who's accessible. Because I can speak to it from a place that most people can only have conversations about, can only talk about, well, this is what I think. If you don't have someone or you haven't been in this space, then you can only be empathetic or sympathetic to the situation. Or you can share that I think I understand, but you don't understand until you're in that space. And now when we're having that conversation about what that space looks like, it gives you more knowledge to talk about what we can do together, to partner, to make it better.
And just one line to add. Definitely, it takes one to know one. I understand you. And I do believe also that overall, across the world, I feel like everyone is including people of determination in making decisions. We heard yesterday about the airport in Turkey. When my question was about like, how did you came up with all of these technologies? And why did you make it this way? And the answer was like, we included people of determination, blind people, people with hearing issues, and people with the autism. And they made those changes and those modifications in the airport based on their opinion. It's definitely your opinion matter and your presence matter, and all of this is being done in order for us to support you and support people of determination in general. So, yeah.
We have an observation from...
Can I just answer to the lady? What's your name?
I'm Dasha.
I just answer you because you were flight attendant, right? You said you were cabin crew. Why we don't involve? Okay, it's changing because it's new, and we are starting involving. At least I talk from the aviation perspective. I represent IATA, the International Transport Association, and we are starting involving persons who have disability and who travel by air. Why we are involving you? Because we need to build processes, standards, policies based on each type of disability. Not all disabilities are the same, right? And also because we need to educate you in the sense, let me put it in the right way, to raise awareness on what is possible on aviation and how we need your help to build certain processes and standards. But it's changing. Changing is happening. Change is happening. I think Eric Leap is there behind. He can provide the testimony himself, because myself, when I first went to a meeting on accessibility, and it was an aviation meeting for persons with disabilities that was hosted by ERIC, Open Doors for Disabilities, I didn't know. I was not aware of the needs of the passengers, and I was not aware of, I myself couldn't do what was needed for the passengers, and how we can be aware, asking and involving. And also because it's not, in some countries it is regulated, in the United States it is regulated by different regulations. One is a social one, and the other one is specific for aviation. But in some other countries it is not. But this is happening. Our members have, for example, advisory boards with persons with disabilities, because we need to build those policies based on what the passengers need. The passenger is the most important asset we have.
I think my question was a little bit misinterpreted. I wasn't talking about taking us as advisors, as making a service and including us in this way. What I was talking about is giving us employment, is giving us visas to stay in the country, to actually build an accessible and inclusive city, not just talk about it.
I'm happy to help address that. And then we'll close, because I know we're against time. And I'm happy to come over and chat with you about this as well. This time last year, and I can say specifically in Dubai, we did not have employment agencies, people like Touch, people like I'm Inclusive, who were helping to integrate and bring persons of determinations into the workforce. Until 2022, we didn't have a law in Dubai that forced equality upon the private sector to make sure that you had equal rights to employment. Today we have that. And that means that you have equal rights to employment equal. So there is now pressure and huge fines on anyone who's operating a business in Dubai if they are not equally employing persons of determination. That exists and is indoctrinated within law. So I think separately we can have a conversation around that to make sure that you know what you're entitled to, and that the private sector, particularly the hospitality industry, tourism industry, is being encouraged and trying to do everything they can to make sure that you can find employment and go about your life as you would want to.
And I think we're seeing also that the industry is wanting to recruit people of determination, because it exactly covers what you said. They understand, they are much more empathetic, and we realize, sometimes, again, I'll go back to the lack of education, is people think that because you're in a wheelchair or because, there's something that you can't work, or that you're not going to do the right job. So people are now starting to learn that, on the contrary, you're probably going to want to prove that you're doing a lot more, Exactly. So I think there is a big shift that's happening now. So we're in a pivot time where we are, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you for the questions. We really appreciate it. Ghassan, thank you. Inas. Over to you.
Thank you, John.
Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.